All right. What is failure? Do. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. You guys remember that song from the 90s? What's going on, everybody? Shred Nation. Good morning. John Reed here, your host. Welcome to the School of Shred. This is the show designed to help you shred your old and make better your new. A better body, a better mindset, a better life, people. That's what we do. Let's get it flexing. Let's warm it up, warm the muscles up. Yeah. Stretch it out. Let's get going. We got episode 47 today coming at you. What is failure? Yeah, that's right, baby. Night at the Roxbury. What is failure? Maybe don't hurt me. So, what is failure? We're going to look at that today. We got a little bit of Wednesday fire coming at you and a little bit of motivation. All right, this is where you dock in the vehicle and we top off the tanks to give you a little bit of fuel for the rest of the week. So we're going to examine what failure is and how you can utilize it to your advantage and see it as a good thing. And we're going to kind of look at it differently. I've started looking at it differently through different down payments of failure I've had to go through in my life, and regrouping and picking the pieces up. And then furthermore, keeping my head stuck in good books. There's a lot of inspiring words that authors and, people who have dedicated their life to figuring out what this high achievement is have talked about. And failure is a big, big topic. So we're going to get into that. As you guys are jumping on, let me know where you're at. Let me know where you're located. Throw some flexing in the comments. Jump on iTunes if you can today and review the podcast. Okay, it takes like 20 to 30 seconds roughly, unless you want to do a really long review, and it could take 20 to 30 minutes. But jump on there and then send me your email. I'm gonna hook you up with something. So because screen names get kind of crazy on there, and a lot of times I have no idea who's writing these reviews. So, but it helps the show get traction on iTunes. These shows right now are, if you're watching this live, you're watching the video, but these are repurposed for the podcast as well. So anyway, with that said, you want to learn more, go to schoolshredpodcast.com and let's get into it. Episode 47, what is failure? Today I ask you guys to examine failure and then ask what it really is to you. What does failure mean to you? I think there's a general way that we look at failure. I know I do. So I'll speak from personal experience on this one, because this is pretty much all personal experience, because this is philosophy. And I know in the past, the way that I've seen failure is like a lot of us out there, which is we fail at something and sometimes it's humiliating and then we do something different. A lot of folks fail or they pivot when times get tough. When times get tough, a lot of times we think we're a failure. We have to be very careful with these I am words. These I am a failure. I failed at this. What I want you guys to look at today, something that might be useful, is to see failure as a necessary roadblock or a necessary obstruction along the path to success. Failure is, if you allow your ego to eat up failure, it can destroy your self-confidence. But if you see failure as nothing more than an annoying fly or a mosquito that won't leave you alone, but you just kind of swat it away, it goes away for a little bit and then it comes back and you swat it away again. If you see failure like that, then we'll start to classify failure as maybe something a little different. And the best words that I've ever heard failure translated to is probably my favorite author, Napoleon Hill, from the early 1900s. Him and that guy, Andrew Carnegie, were chums, and he interviewed him and many, like 25,000 successful people, or 25,000 500 of them successful. The rest of them were what society would deem failures. And he wanted to know what the sense of achievement was. What was the what is achievement all about, right? What are the habits that people who achieve have, and then the habits that people who don't achieve have? And so through his literature and his books, I've learned a tremendous amount. But what he says failure is is temporary defeat. I think that's the way we should look at failure. It's temporary defeat. It's temporary, folks. It's temporary. You're not a failure because you failed at something. Failure is a cheap commodity. Okay? It's cheap. It's easy to buy. It's easy for your ego to buy. It's very cheap. It's readily available. But I'm going to ask you to save your money, save your mental money for something of a higher quality. Something that's cold pressed, unrefined, like success. Save your money for the quality. Put quality food in your body. And this could be the quality for your life. Failure is part of the earning process. It's part of earning your success. If I look at the times where I failed and I continued, like in business, building my training business, the times where I thought I failed the most, it was right before something greater happened. I remember when I first started training on my own, I had just enough clients to get by. So I had like 3 extra clients. I left the corporate gym world. I had 3 additional clients that were basically, I was able to break even. And then people started to cancel. And I remember not knowing how to get business because I didn't learn how to do that at the corporate gym. And so I got to this point of desperation, which was I can either go to somewhere like the vitamin shop or, a supplement store and start working there part-time as I build my business. Or I can get cards and flyers and walk into every establishment that I can that will let me walk in the door without tackling me. And I can talk to them and say, hey, I'm John. Here's my card. This is what I do. And so that's what I did. I called up, different doctor's offices and whatnot, and physical therapy offices, and anybody who would listen. And like I put cards up at the music stores around. I put cards up at the on the bulletin boards at the Safeway that was by the gym that I work at. I just, out of desperation and temporary defeat and that concern and that worry of having to not be able to do coaching and personal training as a career, forced me into, I think, one of my finer moments as a young business owner, because I was nervous doing all that stuff. I wasn't used to that. It was nerve-wracking. I mean, now I'll go in somewhere and I'll go, talk to somebody and it's not a big deal at all. But then it was like to go and to like walk into it like, a clinician's office and go, hey, this is, can we work something out? I was like, it was fumbly, I'm sure. But what happened right after that is I started getting clients calling me. And it was weird because the thing was it wasn't actually from any of those places where I was putting cards. It was like this weird universal power knew that I was going to do whatever it takes to succeed. And then I hit a stride, and that stride, I doubled my business that year. I doubled how many clients I had. And then it was like that, it's been like that ever since. But that right there to me is shows that temporary defeat. And one of the things that Napoleon Hill talks about a lot is that whole idea of when you're pushed to the limit, that's when your finest moments occur. A lot of times until we're in a really hard, desperate spot, we don't actually start to examine and become aware of the things that we need to change, and we don't find our true greatness. And this can be in the health field. I got buddies I've been on the phone with recently and students at the school. And when students sign up, typically, they're at their end. They might have had a really concerning doctor visit that has rattled them, and like, whoa, like if I don't change my lifestyle, I could die. I could not be around for my kids. It's not looking good. And so it can be concerning, but out of these moments, sometimes we can see the greatest human potential in these moments when we're pushed to the edge, when we have to be creative. And so failure can be a really good thing. Temporary defeat can be a really good thing. If you start to look at it a little differently, you might start to realize that failure seems to be almost mandatory when you're striving for greatness in anything, right? Depending on your goal, failure in the gym might be mandatory to your muscle building goals. That's not for everybody, okay? There's a huge gradient there, but if you want to build a bunch of muscle, maybe you got to train those muscles to failure. It's temporary defeat. They grow back stronger. So Thomas Edison failed the light bulb 10,000 times. 10,000 times, you guys. Have you done anything 10,000 times where you failed over and over and over? I don't think I have. I think as I look at these beautiful guitars on my wall, I think I have. I mean, with guitar, I've definitely spent my 10,000 hours doing that, and you're not good for 5 years at least. I mean, I know that for my playing, I just finally got really content with my guitar playing after like 12 years of playing. I finally can play how my favorite players play. That's a lot of time. But Thomas Edison, 10,000 times before he actually created the incandescent light bulb. And so, but his purpose drove him to that. He had a purpose for it. And this is why purpose is important. But this temporary defeat, he just regrouped, rearmed himself, and jumped back in. But I want to read you guys something out of a book that I'm just finishing up called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. It's an amazing book. I could literally just sit here for a month and just read passages out of it. I mean, it's one of those books that every time I open it up, I actually want to like yell out loud and hold my hands up out of excitement, because it's so good and so rich in just mindset and like the path, man. It's the path. So anyway, here's just a couple sentences out of this, okay? My experience has taught me that a man is never quite so near success as when that which he calls failure has overtaken him. For it is on occasions of this sort that he is forced to think. If he thinks accurately and with persistence, he discovers that so-called failure usually is nothing more than a signal to rearm himself with a new plan or purpose. Awesome. Failure can make you think. It can make you rearm yourself and reset where your sights are and focus in. And so if you failed up to today, what I'm going to ask you to do is regroup, rearm yourself, and continue down the path. Because if you failed, that means that you're on the path of success. Most likely. If you feel like you failed, you're on the path of success. Because it's just an obstruction that you have to get through on your way to success. It's testing you, these temporary defeats. And these defeats don't feel good. They feel like shit. They could be heartbreak, humiliation. That comes in all sorts of forms. But what you got to realize is failure is out of shape, man. Failure is out of shape and it lacks endurance. Okay, so if you have mental endurance and spiritual endurance, you can outlast failure. It ain't in shape. Persistence is in shape. Persistence outmatches failure. And so, like I said, if you look at failure today as nothing more than an annoying mosquito or a fly that just won't quit buzzing around you, just kind of bat it away for a little bit, realize it'll come back, and commit yourself fully to the things that you want to engage in, to your betterment. Failure is going to come. We all go through it. I've gone through it many times. Heartbreak, humiliation, it happens all the time. But now what I think of when I think of failure is I've tried to rewire myself, and I do this daily, is that failure is essential to the learning process, to the growth process of getting to the ultimate goal, whatever that is. That could be in the body, it could be in business, it could be in relationships. But don't chalk your failures up and stop and just go off and do something else. Being indecisive is a killer of dreams and purpose and potential. So power through that failure today. And that's episode 47. So drop me some fire in the comments if you guys are still with me. And if you guys want to learn more about the show, go to schoolofshredpodcast.com. Again, tonight I'm doing a webinar about the School of Shred and how you can shred half your body fat from home during these times. Yes, it's a bold statement. I'm going to teach you guys and do a live free training, as well as explain how you can become a student at the School of Shred tonight at 7 p.m. So there's a link here. Go ahead and click on it. Sign up for tonight, and I'll see you guys on the free training on the webinar. If you're not there, Shred Nation, I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. right back here. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then you can listen to the show and take the podcast on the go with iTunes and Spotify. So go attack the day. Go shred it up. Stay strong and healthy in body. Stay relentless and energized in spirit. And stay determined in your pursuits today, school. Until next time, class is dismissed. Seize the day.